Welcome to the Forever Better Academy podcast, where you will be given the principles, tools, and techniques to reach the next stage on your journey of self-mastery. Who could you become? I'm your host, Wade Vincent. What if I told you there was a game that everybody who played could win? That's what I want to go through today with you guys. Your win does not equal my loss. Now, like most people, at some point, you're probably exposed to sport. You know, that's a national pastime in Australia. You know, just about every kid at some point plays sport, either in their backyard with all their cousins and friends and family, or competitively on the weekends at clubs, or through school. So it's very easy when you grow up in that environment to be conditioned that there's only one way to approach it, and that being, like any sporting game, the point is to win, right? So you're automatically conditioned from the jump that if the other team wins, you lose, and if you win, the other team loses, right? So you just sort of become accustomed to that concept, that story that we tell ourselves, that there has to be a one winner and there has to be one loser. Now, I think an element of this, that the intention was good, but the execution wasn't, was the whole concept that probably started, it wasn't when I was little in the 80s, but into the 90s, there became this, what would you call it? A concept of the whole participation. So everyone gets a trophy, no matter what, you know, like, and I think there's many flaws in that concept, in that structure and approach. But I also, as I said, I do see that the intention was good, because no one likes to lose. I don't know anyone, I've never come across anyone in my life, and I'm sure that you haven't either, that enjoys losing. Right? It's not a nice feeling. Nobody really gets excited by it. The outcomes are never good. You know, the by definition, you know, it's a bad thing. You've lost, right? So, I would like to look at this in a different light. And a lot of what I do is I try to take existing concepts or ideas or constructs and reimagine or reconsider them in a way that may move us forward, or may be more beneficial to the way that we approach things, right? So, like anyone else, as I said, I grew up in that sporting culture. It was very much a part of my life, and I've always wanted the best I can provide for my family. I want security for my family. So when you're becoming a man and you're learning about your own capabilities, what you're good at, what you like to do, and you start to understand, and it's always been competition, right? They tell us, you know, in nature, there's competition for resources, there's competition just everywhere around you, continually, right? That's just that's the nature of things, right? So I would consider myself very competitive. I want to win. I don't want to lose by any stretch. I enjoy competition in the sense that not for the outcome of beating somebody, but for the experience of challenging myself, understanding what I'm capable of delivering, and can I better myself? Am I good enough to deliver, right? So it's always been around, at least for me personally, around my ability to achieve, rather than to beat or belittle or better or you know, stand on someone to get what I want. That's a very 1980s way of thinking, you know, the kill, crush, destroy, take, you know, so other people don't take it from you. That's that's gone. You need to take that out of your mind and lose that concept. Just remove it completely. So, given that I do want security for my family, and the sporting and our schooling system, everything has hardwired us to be competitive and at the cost of others, right? So I don't, let me try and word this correctly. I don't see a problem with competition. I see a problem with winning at the expense of other people, which is what I wanted to talk about. Being, your win doesn't equal my loss. Now we are in, and we always have been in a position where, if approached correctly, everybody can win. As I said, what if I told you there was a game that you could play that every person who played could win? And the thing is, we're all playing that game right now. This is life. We are 100% all in it, and every single person has the opportunity to win. Now, okay, obviously it sounds like a very generic blanket statement, but let me elaborate on that. I'm not saying that, who's a good example? It's always the old basketballs example. So for those of you that don't know, right? Okay, Muggsy Bogues, I believe, was the smallest player, the shortest player ever in the NBA. I think he was only 5'3". Now, I'm not saying Muggsy Bogues is going to win a dunk competition, against Blake Griffin, right? It's silly. What I'm saying is, everyone has the ability to win, but what you have to do is position in a way that the trade-off, the value proposition, is a win-win for both parties involved, right? So it's not a matter of, take from this person, therefore they've received less and you've received more, so you win and they lose. What it has to be is a mutual exchange of value, where somebody has something that's of benefit to you and you have something of benefit to them, and they see greater value in the exchange from your side, and you also see a greater value in the exchange for the resource that they have. So that's the concept. That's what I'm trying to articulate today and get across, right? So as I said, I've always wanted security for my family. So I've had ambition and, as I said, that competitive nature and desire to win, right? Now, the external thing that, you're facing is you're competing with all these people. You feel it's constant, right? It's like everyone is vying for limited resources. It's what you see all around you. You're continually reminded of that. Right now, I'm okay with competition because competition drives progress and growth. But I always had that deep-seated concern about someone losing at my expense. Now I've never liked that, and I've been on both sides of the equation, like just about everyone has. I'd be very surprised if someone told you they'd never lost in their life. They probably haven't been alive very long if that's the case. And I know that feeling of loss, and it's not a great feeling. And when I win at something, I don't want the other person to have to go through that loss, because I genuinely care about the other person. I care about people. It's important. You should care about others and being in service and giving to others, because that's what spreads good in the world. If we all cared a little bit more about others than ourselves, the world will improve very quickly. You'll see it all around you. It's a flow-on effect. So that real struggle that I tried to come to terms with, that I found difficult for a long time, was that conditioning that I'd been given from my entire upbringing, that in order for me to win, somebody needs to lose. And that really, like, it didn't sit right with me. It really it bothered me a lot to consider it in that way. And then as I started going through my journey of self-development and learning and experiencing new ways to consider old thought patterns and different approaches that might seem counterintuitive, but when you start to apply them and understand the true outcome and the benefit where, as I said, both parties can win, you start to realize it's a better framework to operate from, right? So I thought, what if I could play a different game where we both could win? So why does it have to be the way that I know it to be? Why can't it be different? Why can't I redefine it? Why can't I change how I experience competition and the outcomes from competition? So, excuse me. What I decided would be and has been a valuable approach for me, and this is off the advice from other people and mentors and people that have guided me on my journey so far, is you have to position yourself where there is no competition for you. Now, I know that seems like, well, if there's no competition, I'm still winning. How is it that I'm winning and that the other person is winning as well as I am? Now, it ties back to there's a concept called blue ocean strategy, and there's a book on it. I can't recall the author, but basically, in essence, it's about positioning yourself in a blue ocean where it hasn't been like a feeding frenzy. It's not a red ocean because it's just, ravaged. There's blood soaked through the waters because everyone's just gone in and attacked, and it's a feeding frenzy where there's very little food left if you're late to the market, right? So the concept around this that I find is really helpful in advancing the approach in society is you position yourself in a blue ocean by basically combining 2 or 3 different aspects or elements that play to your strengths, that are unique to you, and position you in a way that there is no competition, because you're one of the, if not the only people that operate in that space. Now, I know some people might listen to this and think, okay, it's easy to say that, Wade, but it's a different thing, like we can't just have every market that exists being an individual market, like there's only one provider and then there's no competition. And then, as I say, competition, it keeps, prices even and balanced. Competition's good for the markets. Like, hey, I understand that. But what I'm talking about is not so unique that it can't, that is considered just a blue ocean complete and unto itself. Little elements and the things that you can combine that I'm talking of that put you in a unique space where you aren't competing, maybe something as simple as, for example, you might be, let's say, two competing companies that install televisions, right? So both companies sell the televisions. Unique? Not at all. They're both the same in that regard. They both sell the same products, very similar price points. It's a race to the bottom otherwise. So what you have to do is combine those ideas and offerings that give you a unique advantage against competitors, that position you so that you're winning and your competitors can win in a different space that's adjacent to what you're doing. So for example, let's say you take the two companies that deliver and install televisions, sell televisions. Company one, their unique difference might be that they will come to your house on a weekend and install the television for you and ensure everything's set up on a weekend. And they're the only company that does that, right? And company B that also sells the televisions and installs the televisions They might decide, let's install TVs after hours. So their unique advantage is that they install TVs after hours. Both in the same market, same product, same service, slight difference in the way it's approached. And as simple as a change like that, both of those companies have their unique, offering. And as a customer or a consumer, whichever one benefits you more is the one you're going to lean towards. So if you work on weekends and after hours is perfect for you, you're going to lean towards company B who does the after hours install. And then if you work shift work and you don't have weekends, where you go to work and the install on the weekend is perfect for you, you're going to go to company A. So both win in that scenario. That's a win-win equation. The customers, you've niched down to a point where you found your unique position, your blue ocean, your section that you can serve the market that's slightly different to your competitors, and everyone sort of wins in that regard. You're not competing on price. You're not sort of struggling and racing to the bottom. It's more productive and supportive of the market, and there is enough abundance for everyone in that scenario. Because there's little tweaks, there's little changes that can make all the difference. And you could say, what's from stopping another company popping up and doing the same and doing TV installs on the weekend? Yes, that could happen, but there's no reason that company could consider another approach or shift slightly on what they offer to keep themselves in that blue ocean. It's very easy if you're open-minded and creative and you consider, what is my customer looking for? What does my marketplace need? What can I give them that's a combination of not only my core product or offering, but also something that supports that offering, that positions me where I don't have competition? It's such a little shift. It's so simple, but it can make the world of difference, and everyone wins in that scenario. You've got to take the combination of the ideas, and the further that you can niche down into a unique offering, as per my example, it allows you to have ownership of that sector of the market, and you're not struggling. You might, it's all well and good to say, oh, there's a market share of 2 million potential customers or prospects, but there's 100 competitors in the space, or I've got a market share of 400,000 customers, but it's only me. I know which offering I'd rather be in. So it's really about the process of thinking in a win-win state where you're not trying to compete or battle against or win at the cost of someone else's loss, because it's a destructive construct, a framework, that mindset of trying to take someone down or beat them in order for you to win doesn't benefit anyone. Everyone can win here. There's more than enough share and opportunity for all of us. So and as I said, that you're still going to face that conflict of other people are going to see what you do and might be inspired or see, I could be a competitor in that space and start a business or whatever they're offering, that you're offering similar as competition to you. But as I said, you have to distance yourself from that and find your approach that keeps you continually fresh and innovative and in that blue ocean where it's your market to be had. Now, the key here too, that the real benefit that comes from doing this, when you start to approach it like this in a way that you're trying to be creative in how you position yourself rather than just like trampling or slaughtering your competitors to win at all costs, you start to understand you're more focused on serving your customers and adding value to the market rather than the energy, time, resources, your money being spent attacking competitors in a space that's overpopulated and flooded with the same offerings. That's that lose-lose mentality. Because again, you're shrinking margins, you're lowering your price, you're competing on price. Because if you're only competing on the same core offering, being the televisions, you sell televisions, this company sells televisions, what else can you compete on? The only way you're trying to get a competitive edge is by lowering your price, eating into your margins, and sooner or later both businesses go out of business because no one's making any money. It's lose-lose. You can't approach it in that way of that destructive competitive nature. Competitive should be a creative approach. I like to think of it as it doesn't have to be combative. It can be a collaborative thing, right? What is stopping you from taking a meeting with your competition and even discussing down to the point where you work out an approach or a mutual agreement where your angle is those weekend installs, and they decide, okay, well, we'll take the after hour installs, and everyone wins. It can absolutely occur like that. I think it's important to remember you don't have to take 100% of a market to be successful. You don't need to take everything from everyone else in order to win. I mean, what does win mean to you? How when is enough enough? What's the limit? Where do you want it to go to? So, being excuse me, when you approach business or strategy or life or sales or whatever it may be, relationships, in a scenario where you're considering the outcome for the other party and the outcome for yourself, and you both want to win, and you're looking at the compromise and the trade-off and what you can exchange that has value to the other person in order for them to exchange something of value to you, everyone ends up happy from that. The outcomes are great. There's no conflict. There's no sort of breakdown of communication. The relationship doesn't fall apart. The business doesn't fall apart. Only good comes from approaching it in a way where you're concerned and considerate of the other party getting a win, an outcome that they're after, that's sought after. Now, many of you know that I'm in sales, and the approach that I take with every prospect and every customer that I speak with is, what is the problem they have that I can solve, and how do I fix that problem for them and deliver so much value that they have no problem exchanging their resource, being money and time, for the solution that I'm offering. I win because I'm earning more money for my family. I'm getting the security that I seek for my family, and they win because I've removed that problem for them, and they feel the problem that they're experiencing is greater than the money they spent to solve the problem. They see it as an exceptional exchange of value because they see that I'm concerned with their best interests and solving that problem for them, and in doing so, I'm rewarded as well. We both win. Now, when you do that, when you take that approach, you become a more sought after person, or you have a reputation, that it's a pleasure to do business with you, or you're known as someone who's fair and ethical. And the more that you approach every aspect of life in that win-win equation where it's not you or the other person, where you're constantly considering, how do I provide the best outcome for both of us, the word spreads, and more goodness comes from that, and you will receive more business, you will get more opportunity, and you'll get greater wins because you're out there considering, how do I provide wins for other people? Now this is happening all around us every single day. It's so empowering when you take this concept and you make it you internalize it and make it instinctual. You realize you're not competing with anyone. You're only competing with yourself. How creative can I be? How can I be better than I was yesterday? And when you're competing with yourself, you're not hurting anybody. You're not taking from anyone. It's not at the expense of others. The competition that I speak of, they said that fuels growth and competition is good for growth. It's the competition with yourself. You grow because of it. You become better. And when you become better, you're winning more. You're able to do more and help other people and give them the win that they're seeking as well. It's this flow of abundance, more and more and more. I think competition really, in the traditional sense that I speak of from that sporting and the sort of educational structure, those elements, it's based on a scarcity mindset. It's that scarcity model of, I have to take this because if I don't take this, someone else will. And it's not the case. There's enough for everyone. You just have to find that position where your offering's unique and you can provide something special that no one else can do. And it's not as hard as it sounds. It really isn't. If you can take those core things and piece together 2 to 3 of those unique strengths you possess that only you have because you're the only person in the world that has had your journey, your position is untouchable. It's very, very well sought after when you're the only person who can provide a service or a product or an offering that only comes from the experience that you've had. Everyone wins. And when you really take that on board and that becomes who you are and your way of life, you become more aware and connected with the needs and concerns of others, and you focus less on self. And when you focus less on self, in my experience, many of your problems melt away, they shift away, because a lot of times if you spend all that energy worrying and thinking about, what does this mean for me? What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And it's too internal. You're thinking so much about yourself. That's where scarcity comes from. If you have complete abundance, that mindset of there's enough for everyone, you're not worried about, I need to win at all costs, because if you lose, you don't really lose. There's enough for everyone. There is no lose if you approach it in this regard. Everyone can have a share. There's plenty for everyone. All right, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys again today. Your win doesn't equal my loss, and my win doesn't equal your loss. It's win-win, 100%, I promise you. So please take this on board. Consider those approaches, taking those couple of core strengths that you have, combine them to make a unique offering that puts you and positions you in a blue ocean where you have plenty to offer the people that need what you have to give, and you'll win as well. All right, guys, this is Wade Vincent, Forever Better Academy, and as always, who could you become? All right, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure that you click the notifications button on YouTube, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and I will have more content for you guys next Friday. And until then, stay safe. Bye, guys.